Hello everyone, my name is Guillaume and welcome to a new episode of Hit the Tone. Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Hit the Tone on Thomann's Guitars and Basses. In this series I'm taking intros, riffs, licks and I try to give you all the tools you need to hit the tone. It is a recommendation based format, so whatever song you have in mind and like to see on this format, please put it in the comment section down below and I'll get to you as soon as possible. While you're down there, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much in advance. And now let's go on with today's song, which is The Way the News Goes by Periphery. Periphery holds a very special place in my heart because after barely a couple of weeks working at Thomann, I got a call and someone asked me, "Hey, do you like Periphery?" "Yes, I do." "Do you want to meet them?" "Yes, I do." And then that was my first gig. My first video on the Thomann channel was interviewing Holcomb. And so this really does mean a lot. And it was on this tour actually, the Periphery 3 select difficulty, on which The Way the News Goes is. It is a killer song. It is a beautiful intro played by Mark, and he obviously used his PRS signature guitar for it. And as he told me firsthand, for one of the first time in Hit the Tone, I actually have the info firsthand. It was obviously his dual humbucker setup on the PRS, cold splitted in the middle position, which is what I've got going on right now with this Schecter Apocalypse, which is our heavy studio guitar. So cold split, and in the in-between position. So basically using these two coils, and that is our basic tone. It's a very straightforward, clean sound, but that dual humbucker splitted in-between position is just brilliant. And it also means that you don't essentially need that kind of a guitar to play that song, at least the intro. You might struggle for the gainier parts, but if you have any sort of single coil instrument, if it's a telly, second position, so like both pickups at the same time. If it's a Strat, I'd recommend position 4, neck and middle at the same time. And that's the same kind of sound that you're looking for. Something very shiny, brighty, all the bright adjectives. I only know 3. But yeah, anyways, you don't need that kind of guitar. Single coils in general will do the trick as well. And with that said, let's go on to the second part of that video, which is our amp and pedal setup. Periphery are very well known for using Axe effects and other modelers on stage for the practical aspect of it. But in the studio, if you've seen any of the sort of recording process videos that are on their channel, go check them out. They're really good. They like documenting how they record, I think, every album since P2. Really great videos, really informative, and they use a bunch of different amps. Some that you'd associate with it, like, you know, Invective, PV Invective, obviously with Misha Mansour, and some other 5150, 6505 sort of variation. A lot of Bogner, Überschall, at least in the beginning, and also a lot of classic amps. For all the clean parts, you've seen some Fender heads and Fender combos for that very sort of American, bright kind of sound. And that suits really well because that's what I'm using today. As usual, my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe Tweed Edition. The controls will be on the screen. And I am going to mess up with the EQ a little bit because this introduction is very present in the higher mid-range and high end, but there's very little bass on it. So I'm using the EB10 by Walrus Audio, which is an EQ, boost, everything, pedal, really great unit. And I'm boosting the high end and the mids slightly, cutting some low end at the same time. And I'm going to pair it with the Dispatch Master by Earthquaker Devices, my favorite pedal of all time, for the reverb and delay, because that's really pronounced on the intro. I would say it's almost, if you have a shimmer kind of reverb, that definitely has its place in there. But same, the controls will be on the screen, pretty generous with everything, and that is going to take us there. And I think that's it for my setup, at least. It doesn't have to be these two pedals. They definitely didn't use either of them in the recording, as far as I'm aware. There's a really cool Seymour Duncan delay reverb pedal, Mark Holcomb signature, which will definitely help for that kind of sound. Anything that's relatively modulated and fairly heavy on both delay and reverb will do just fine. And with all that in mind, let's jump onto the final part of this video, which is, as usual, the most important, and is how to play the song. Before we get into it, please note that everything that I'm using today, the pedals, the amp, and some more alternatives at different price points, will be linked in the description box down below if you want some specs or some ideas if you think that your gear is not going to cut it for this intro. Please also note that the tabs will be available through a different link if you want to spend some more time with it, because it is quite a complicated intro. First of all, you're going to tune your guitar in drop C. That means D standard all the way, and you drop the low D down to C. If you're new to drop tuning, as usual, please keep in mind that you might have to change your strings for something heavier. Otherwise, the strings are going to get floppy and pretty much unplayable. But I guess some sort of 11 to 54-ish is perfectly fine for that kind of tuning. But once you got that done, you can get into the introduction, and we're going to start with our fretting hand. I'm going to say it now, and I cannot stress that enough. If you're new to guitar playing, this might look fairly impossible. It is a really complicated intro. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of string skipping. There's some pretty heavy stretching. There's a bit of traveling across the neck. And the fact that it is a clean tone with delay and reverb is not helping at all. Because if you mess one thing, it's going to repeat for like 5 seconds afterwards. So the accuracy is key. It's something that you can easily work out slower and then progressively build up the speed up to what it's actually played at. So yeah, if you're a beginner, this might not be the song for you right now. Maybe go back to older episodes, try your hand at some simpler things. But if you feel like you can do that, if you're confident that it's something you can spend some time on, go for it, and I'm sure you'll manage. But with that said, let's have a look at the picking side of it. Same as for the fretting hand, fairly complicated because there's a lot of, again, string skipping mostly. You want to be accurate. You want, in the second half of it, the low E, so the low C in that case, to ring while you're playing the other notes, so you don't want to mute it with your palm. There's a lot of kind of small things in there that will make it sound just the right way. And to be completely honest with you, I'm still struggling with it a lot. Like, it took me a long time to get the video started because I just couldn't play it cleanly enough. So I know it's not perfect, but I think it's such a great intro and such a cool approach to chords in that intro that it's definitely worth the episode. But with all that said and done, I think that's it, guys. You have all the tools you need to hit the tone on The Way the News Goes by Periphery. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If so, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel. Thank you very, very much in advance. On this, I wish you a fantastic week, and I'll see you next Monday in a new episode of Hit the Tone.